So good for you to join us across the country in New Zealand today, Brad, where you're still held in such high esteem over here. We often hear phrases like, we need someone like Brad Thorn in the All Blacks now. You're both Australia and New Zealand's one of their favourite sons, mate. How does it feel to belong to two countries?
It feels really cool. Growing up in New Zealand, New Zealand is where I come from. I'm so proud to have come from there. I went back and fulfilled something that was, my father and I had talked about. If the game of rugby went professional, perhaps going back and having a crack. And it was so good to represent my country of birth and where all my family are. I have no relations in Australia, just my wife's family. My brother and my mother are back in New Zealand, cousins. But then to represent Australia, to grow up here from the age of 9, Brisbane is my home. Just so proud to have grown up here, so many friends. My kids are, my wife's Australian, my kids are born here, and my father's buried here. So two countries, and just a privilege to have, call them both home in a way.
Tough decision, mate. Mosgiel, Brisbane.
I started New Zealanders, because we've been coming over in droves for, my family in 1984 were another family coming over for some opportunity. Mum and Dad, brought us over. And I say to New Zealanders, if you come to Australia, don't come for long or you won't go back. Now, I don't mean that as a slight to New Zealand, but there are these golden beaches and there's some pretty beautiful weather and whatnot.
Talking to Brad Thorn, who's got a book coming out, I think, it's out. It's out already, 28th of January, called Champions Do Extra. It's 3 words, but there's a lot behind those words, Brad Thorn. I'm just wondering, formative years of young men and young women can be different lifespans. When do you first identify a period in your life that you started developing a champion mindset?
I know very easily the time. It was when I was 16, and basically kids, I was playing rugby league, gone to Australia, went to a state school. My mates played league. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. I'm from the deep south of New Zealand. We are born to play rugby. That's all we know. Every little kid wants to be an All Black and whatnot. So, go to Australia. A couple of years to establish. I worked as a 9-year-old, I worked at the till in a shop with my dad, just like a new family that come over. We started off in a caravan park, all that sort of stuff. But I played league. I had some talent. I was like, I was always been a pretty big sort of kid. I was like 6 foot by the age I was 13. I was athletic. I had talent, but I was lazy. My under-14s coach, he said, I've been in this club for 15 years. You are the laziest kid I've ever seen. I'm 50 years old now. I still remember him saying that. And Dad was really, and Mum wanted the best for us, opportunities to see us achieve. Dad's upbringing, state housing, his dad, alcoholic, ex-World War II. I know he wished he had more support, and when he got his chance, his time, he poured a bucket of goodness. Everything he wished, I guess he poured into us. I was getting to an age where at 16, kids start to progress. I obviously had talent, but I wasn't progressing in the rep teams, and there'd been encouragement and a few hard words here and there, but it got to a point where he had enough, and he just said, look, sick of driving around, sick of, you are not fit enough, your mindset, you don't have it, you back off when you need to go forward. I didn't have belief because I hadn't earned it through work ethic. So he said, I've got a run for you to do. It's in the state forest. It's a run that he actually did because he's a fit guy. And basically it was sprinting hills. It was fart leg running. And on anything flat or downhill, you recover on the run. You don't stop. Sprint the hills, do the run. I went and did this. I was like, whoa, okay. He said, if you don't do this, I'm not driving anywhere anymore. I had enough. I can't watch this anymore. No more lifts to training, nothing. I was like, well, okay. So I go over and I do this run, and halfway through the run, what would it eventually be, I just felt so good, Stabby. I I just stopped and said out loud, "This feels good," and it was. Wow. Everyone, I imagine so many of us have a turning point or a mark in your life where you took a direction, and I never didn't make a rep team again. I turned up, a couple of days later thinking, oh, I know me, I'll probably fall away, blah, blah, blah. A couple of days later, it got to that time in the afternoon again, and I did that run, and then a mindset changed. Talent was met with work ethic, discipline, and from that belief, and as you know, that year I got squeezed onto the bench in the under-16s Queensland team, and that just fueled me even more. And then the rest is history. I became, just driven. To this day, there's a fire sitting in there, still burning. So yeah.
Mate, what's that like being able to pass that on? Like, that works for you personally. Is there a way that you could articulate that and pass it on to people around you, or is it just like a little secret weapon you hold on to yourself?
I think, like I said, everyone, I'm sure, if you talk to most people, there's a top point in their life where, this or that happened. It might not be my scenario. And probably the thing I'd like to say is, for those listening, for the dads that love their kids, they're listening out there, it doesn't mean, please don't just go and give your kid a hard word this afternoon, because some kids, dad was a deep thinker, mum and dad were invested in us. There'd been encouragement. It got to a point where there needed to be change if I was going to progress and fulfill my talent. Some kids need a hug. Some kids need an arm around the shoulder. Other kids need, it's to talk this through. Whatever, you understand? So it's different for. It's just about, I guess, a father. As I said, my mum, wonderful lady, grew up a farm girl in Milton, and wonderful lady. But him stepping up to the plate and just saying, "Rightio, let's get this done." And at that point, it was just, "Tom, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, because this is the way." And I'm so grateful we did. So appreciative.
Talking to Brad Thorn, whose book is Champions Do Extra. I want to go back to 2000, I think it was 2001, your first All Black selection, and you said no. I'm just wondering, that was your dream, to play for the All Blacks. You got picked for the All Blacks.
Yeah.
The impact of the decision at the time, and with the benefit of hindsight, looking back, the benefit of that decision you made then.
You're saying, do I still like that decision? Or
Yeah. And your immediate reaction at the time, and whether now looking back you think it was the right decision.
Well, there was word that they were looking at me. I battled in the Super Rugby, and I had 3 questions. Do I like rugby? Am I any good at it? Do I like living in New Zealand? After that experience, and don't get me wrong, the Crusaders treated me so well, but just the cultural change, trying to learn the game, it has to become instinctive. That's the battle. So kids have been playing since they're 6 years old. I played under 6s, under 8s, grew up in Australia playing league. Scrums, lineouts, kick-off receipts, where you're 4 metres in the air, catching it like an AFL player, pick and go, maul, breakdown, nothing like that in league. 14, 15, 16-year-olds knew more than I did. So it was tough. I came from the prime of my game. I'd been playing played a season in Brisbane Rugby League, men's first grade, plus 7 years at the Broncos. I played close to 150 games, played Origin, test level, won titles. And now, I'm just like an infant and, sitting at the front of the bus. All these different cultural things that I had done, and it was so humbling, and it was so important in my life, one of the most important years of my life, because it brought me closer in my faith to God. I needed His strength to get through it, and all those character things that you can work on, your discipline and just perseverance, stay in there, hang in there. So yeah, when I had a chat to my brother when I went back to Australia, saying I'm battling, And my girlfriend, my wife for 23 years, is back in Brisbane. You know, we're Christians. We're not going to live together. She's teaching. I'm doing the rugby thing. And I was in a 1-bedroom apartment in Christchurch, and he just said, look, for all that it is, all the things that are going against you or whatever, go back in this year and give it everything, throw the kitchen sink, and at least you can walk away knowing, you know, be at peace with it. Yeah, I had a crack. It wasn't to be. I went back with that bad attitude. The NPC, they moved me into lock. Scrummaging was my first real connection when I first started to look at my teammates' eyes and they had belief in me and trust. I could. My job was to get in and be physical and push, and you know I could do that. And the rest of the game, from that self-esteem and stuff, the rest of my game, those things in rugby started to get a feel. I had potential, and you know they were looking at that. It was 2001, 2003 World Cup down the track. They were looking at picking me on that. I still wasn't sure about rugby, you know, if I wanted to start. I had a 1-year contract with 2 to go. So if I went on that tour and said, hey, thanks for that All Black jersey, great tour, I'm out of here, see ya. Can you imagine how that would have gone down? So yeah, that was presented before the team was announced. I understand them picking me. But yeah, it made it a bit awkward. And from that time, I actually had an entire year away from all sport. I went back, I traveled around the world, married my wife, did, camping trip all the way up the, Queensland coast to the Daintree, even did some travel around New Zealand. I met people who, didn't even look at the back page of the paper. It was so good for me to be around different people, and then I got to a space where, I could return to the league, but I'd done that work in union, and my primary school had a motto: reward for effort. My father really loved it. He said, "Apply that to your life, son, and you will achieve a lot of things." Basically, the greater the effort, the greater reward. I'd put in the effort. Those questions, was I any good at rugby? I've got better. Do I like rugby? Yeah, I am starting to really enjoy it. Do I like living in New Zealand? I started to get a feel for the place, and make friendships. So yeah, I went back in 2003, away we went.
I'm interested in, we talk about the people that, like the challenge you took on, being top of your game in rugby league, coming across to rugby. You need mentors, you need people around you. And I think it's quite a common answer, you deflect to captains and coaches. But I'm interested in the teammates that had influence with you and helped you or you looked at. So away from captains and coaches, and I'll tell you what, I'm good friends with Ross Filippo, and I sent him a text message. I said, I got Brad Thorn on. You got any good dirt on him? And he said, I have.
I've got plenty on him, mate.
Yeah,
so.
Mate, you've just said his text. He said, yeah, I have, but he's got way more on me, so I'm not giving you anything. But people like him. So who are the people in your teams that made it comfortable, made you want to stay, made you want to learn?
Do you know what, Steffi? I think back to being a 6-year-old, why I loved playing footy. I was a rough kid. I loved rough and tumble. So yeah, but the number one thing was camaraderie, and I always remembered that. I'd sit in tests before a test match. I'd sit there as a 40-year-old. Why do I do this? Because I love the camaraderie, number one, and getting amongst them. I'm a physical guy, so people are so important to me. And rugby, when you play, you get to show people how much you care about them through your actions. I love that. When I was a younger kid, I was a bit shy and stuff, not necessarily the cool kid or be able to say things that were, with the popular people, but with footy, I was the big guy. I could show my mates what I was doing. So guys like Greg Feek really made me welcome. Norm Maxwell, I remember him driving me around town. Lovely heart of the guy. Toddy Blacker took me out to his house at Rangiora, was constantly there. encouraging me. This guy's Mark Hammett. Ross Filippo is one of my better mates, and so proud. I always knew he's a real cheeky, great character. He's got a real intelligence. I always knew. I told him when he was because he's quite he's about 5-6 years younger. I told him I would see him coaching because of his he's a smart guy, but I could when you name these guys, Greg Somerville, all these guys, you name these guys, and it's awkward because I know there's a whole heap I'm not thinking of. So just throwing at you some of the guys, little Ben Blair, they called him Mini-Me because he was basically like a blonder, little shorter version. And, we'd finish training because I grew up playing AFL. My father was a kicker, Tiger schoolboy, fullback. So I like kicking the footy, and we'd be playing each other after trainings at Crusaders. When you see two people, it just looks like a complete argument the whole time. Two like pests just going at each other. Yeah, all these guys, that competitive spirit, all those connections were great. So yeah.
Mate, what was some of the cultural differences between the two codes? Like, I grew up playing league. You see a lot of league players, it's all scandals on the back page, but on the other side of it, the difference culturally, professionally between rugby and rugby league.
There's sort of like Australia and New Zealand, and then there's league and union. So it was big, yeah. So, like I said, league, like we, it is interesting. In the team room, there's a fair bit of banter, and it's competitive. It's tough. That's where league came from, the working class. And like I said, I'd never heard of rugby. I went to start off in a caravan park, into a rental place, into a house. Just like I said, I worked in my dad's shop as a 9-year-old. Imagine, at the till, a 9-year-old Kiwi kid, do you want a milkshake or whatever? But yeah, it's played league, and it can be a bit colourful on the sidelines, in the footy, but it's. They all the same things. They're the same fabrics, the camaraderie, competing, all that sort of stuff. Broncos under Wayne Bennett, such a strong personality, and just striving for excellence. You don't win titles and stuff if you don't have an environment where you're trying to get the best individually and collectively, and you care. You have to care. We loved playing for our city, Brisbane, our state. And coming across to rugby, it's if you think about New Zealand, it's mainly a rural country. You come from farming backgrounds, the kids, and small towns. Kids have been working with their dads. Some kids are up doing the, milking the cows at 2 a.m. and then, it could be raining or snowing, you've got to go out. So you get some staunchness there from the young men of New Zealand. You think about the Maori, the warrior sort of ethos, they were born for rugby. And you think about the Polynesian families. The Polynesian families did the same thing as my family. They come for opportunity. Their mothers and fathers drive taxis. They clean rooms. To give their kids an opportunity. And you get all these wonderful Kevin Mialamus and all these Ali Seviers, all these sort of guys. So that's our way. We rugby is what we are. League's just thriving at the moment, to be fair, but that's what we know when we're born. We want to play rugby. We want to be an All Black. And when I came across to the Crusaders, you get in the bus. I was in my it was coming into my 9th season, 7 seasons, and I'm told to sit at the front of the bus. That's their way. I have to respect that. We went on a plane and a jumbo jet to Australia. Everyone gets off. I get off. But the Crusaders, they stay on the plane till everyone gets off. How do you think I felt standing at the and I'm so they used to have court sessions. I didn't understand that in league. We get back, we go to our club, but then we're sort of everyone goes their own way. It was pretty. We used to train hard, play hard, party hard. So he'd be out when we were younger, and I couldn't understand why would a group of dudes sit in a room having a beer, but that was their way, and I guess they controlled things that way. So there was, once again, if I quickly round up on that, Robbie Deans, Steve Hansen, these sort of guys, highly competitive, team first. The opposition, they will go individual before we will. Work ethic, keeping your sprigs in the ground, all this sort of stuff. So there's those similarities, but there's the flavour around it of rugby and league. And I just feel how cool in these last couple of years, the pace is slowing a bit. You get to, I guess, through writing the book, think about it and how fortunate you were to be part of it.
The book is Champions Do Extra. I promised I'd ask some listener questions, so rapid fire, Brad. They don't have to be huge long answers. Actually, Mulu Paul, he said, I read an excerpt of Brad's book about the kickstart to his fitness mentality. I have a 17-year-old with all the promise but no understanding the hard work to get there. He said, could you give him a message and what would it be? And he'll play your response back to his boy. I think you did that at the start of our chat with your meeting the jungle with your runs. So, yeah, I think that was a great part. One listener says, and I expected this, who from the present All Blacks or Super Rugby could transfer to NRL easily, in your mind?
From current rugby?
Yeah.
Any one of the backs, there's a good transition there. Loose forwards are often, I just prefer to say it, bigger than just one person. Yeah, loose forwards. Yeah, the tight five, it's a harder league, especially with the 10 metres.
Yeah.
I couldn't play. I prided myself on being an 80-minute All Black. In league, I had to play certain minutes because it's a tough game that way. Yeah.
What was the hardest part about going from league to locking a scrum in rugby?
It wasn't hard. I just it was made for me. I love strength and power. I love dominance. I love the mindset. For me, the tight head, that so connects into me because I'm protective. That's my nature for young guys or for my family. So the tight head prop is he's the cornerstone of the scrum. You destroy him, you destroy the scrum. So he goes to war every time. There's a loose head and a hooker coming in. 67% of the power, Chrono used to say, comes from the back five. I'm like the engine. I'm like the V12 or V8 engine, and I have a connection with the tight head. And so they come, and the tight head has to have a certain mindset and capability. Big, strong guy, flawless technique, but he has to be a guy who loves the fight. So Owen Franks loved the fight. I'm the engine. I'm the guy. I'm the thing where he can trust me. And I'm going to bring everything every single time. I don't care what the calls are next. He's getting everything. If he goes down, I'm going down with him. There's no outs. On the other side of that, if he gets in a bad position, guess what? I'm not backing off either. So I'm sorry, I'm not backing off. So with the scrummaging, as I said before, when I was learning the game, I know you asked for a quick question. You were saying quick fire questions, but the frustration of learning this game and you got to do this one, you got to do that, you got to do that. I got to that space when they put me in my first scrum at training. My head the guys wouldn't know they're just doing a scrum session. My head was hot. I just fueled all that frustration and that 6 months of sort of anger. And I want to destroy in the scrum. And we'd say, oh, which side are you going to get up? They get the right side up. No, always my side. And I know that wasn't what they wanted, but that was the connection that gave me respect with the men, the guys I playing with, and helped me connect to the game and start to have some esteem. That's the key, self-esteem around it and enjoyment. And then other parts started to fall into place.
Oh, I love that.
Sorry for such a long question, but I love my scrumming.
No, I love that. We've got so many texts, I won't read them all out, just saying how much they love this chat. the favourite All Black, legend of the game, etc. Josh from the West Coast, we'll finish with this one, says, can you please ask Brad how many records in the gym he still holds for the Maroons, the Broncos, the Crusaders or the All Blacks?
There's always, Dad used to say about, boxing or fight, there's always someone tougher. There's always someone who's stronger. I was my best bench is 180 kilos, right, which is a good number. But there's always these guys, and there's around the world. There was an English prop, he could bench 230 or 20, and I remember Alad, what's his last name?
Yeah,
I think he was a 210, 215 bencher. So I feel I did all right with my long arms, and I'm pretty happy. I was a little bit gutted because I've got a son. I married a Maltese girl, half Maltese, and they're stocky and shorter set. Me and my brother's 6'8", I'm 6'5". We're sort of tall and broad and big. But yeah, I got 3 sons, and guess what? They're all into their gym. They love it. But I did that 180. I only did it once. I was 27, and I was about 119 kilo. Put it up there. My oldest son said, hey, Dad, I benched 180. He was 18. So I wasn't happy because you got to understand, from my upbringing, we're family, but we're competitive. And so it's like, and so with my own kids, part of me's going, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, son. There's another part of me who was like a little bit hurt. And, a different type of thorn is coming through, but a bit stronger. So,
That's so awesome. We could talk to you all day, as you could tell. I haven't been able to get to all the questions, but we're running out of time. I really appreciate you coming on, Thorny. Champions Do Extra, brilliant title. And it just makes me so much more keener to read it. And I know a lot of New Zealanders will want to read it. Just Google it, people, Champions Do Extra. You'll find out where to get it. Thorny, awesome to talk to you, mate.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really cool.